Hello again, Yaksimash. Welcome to Wrench Reads, Trilogy of Morgalla, Diary of a Lonely Demon, number 4. If you want a copy of John David's novel, the link is in the info bar. If this is the first Wrench Reads that you've watched, click the annotation appearing on screen right now and go back to the introduction. Start there. Makes a little bit more sense when you start from the beginning. But due to the overwhelming response I received last week with the question that I asked, I will be doing the full readings first, and then going back and commenting on points where I need to comment on. So thank you for everyone who commented. Thank you for everyone who liked and plus one the video. But this week I actually want to start off by pointing out another video I've produced talking about John's DeviantArt mendacity. The link is appearing in the annotation right now. But other than that, I want to get right into it because this is a little bit of a longer read this week, and I want to have time for every comment that I want to make. So when we left off, we ended the last chapter, the first chapter of this book. Morgalla was running off to her closet in Zorach's castle. We learned that wood and coffee and cigarettes all exist in hell. I don't know where hell grows their tobacco, but we also know that description-wise, hell is similar to the American Southwest in John David's eyes, and I was driven to drink by the quality of this writing. So, without further delay, Chapter 2, Sticks and Stones. S-T-Y-X, Sticks and Stones. Morgalla walked down a tall hallway made of dark red stone. Within the mountain of pain there were many tunnels and passageways in which anything could be hidden. It was easy to get lost. That was just one reason she chose it as her place to hide. The ceiling stretched high like a cathedral. Small gems hung from the wall on both sides and glowed, giving illumination. A small group of demons lurked in the shadows and watched as Morgalla walked by. They hungered for pleasure, the kind only a female could provide. They thought they were unnoticed, but Morgalla's senses were attuned to her surroundings. She was completely aware of their presence. One minion lunged, and she spun quickly, with a large knife in her hand. Morgalla stabbed the creature in the chest. It shrieked in pain and fell to the ground. Now dead, it melted into a puddle of red and black. Morgalla looked at the other minions, the large knife clenched tightly in her hand. She could barely see them. Their yellow eyes gave off a slight glow from the lighting. The creatures looked on wearily, but did not advance. Unwilling to make another attempt at her, she sheathed her blade, turned, and walked away. Continuing on, she walked up to a large wooden door. It had been her home, her sanctuary, since she came of age years before. Her hand touched the doorknob, and magically it could tell who she was. 7 locks, magical in nature, released one by one, starting at the top. She opened it and walked inside. With a clump, the door closed, and the locks secured her within her small fortress. She was safe again, locked inside her home. Those sounds of being sealed within the room gave her the most relief. No longer did she have to put up the facade of a heartless warrior willing to kill all who threatened her. As soon as the 7th lock was secure, the tears came. She took no pleasure in the deaths of others, even if they meant her great harm. Italics. They left me no choice. Why didn't they just give it to me? I'm sure we could have worked something out. Unitalics. Her hand covered her eyes and her mouth tightened as grief took control of her. Her weapons, slicing and piercing through flesh, were terrible to experience. But to actually feel someone's life end was almost unbearable. The room was very small. There was only a bed, a small decaying wooden desk, and a dresser. There was also a small shower, with a curtain that would pull closed. Morgalla removed her cloak and hung it on the wall, and her attractive features were presented. The words attractive or sexy had never entered her mind. not in demon standards anyway. All the males she knew merely lusted for her, nothing more. Humans, on the other hand, sometimes did the same, but she never showed her true face to them. What human would find a woman with horns attractive? Her ears were large and slightly pointed, twice the size of those of a human. Her horns extended from her temples, curved and pointed upward at an angle. Her body was tiny compared to many others. She was quite short and not very muscular by demon standards. Her lovely face hid a soul worn by years of pain and torment. She would think herself lucky, but in reality it had been her wits and abilities that had kept her alive to this day. Her face, usually like stone, showed no emotion to the outside world. Her eyes sparkled like violet gems, but would reveal nothing. Her body was strong and her skills were sharp, but deep inside she felt like a little girl. She was young, but felt much older, worn beyond her years. Her mind was filled with many memories she did not want. Her heart felt empty. So much was missing from her life. There was nothing that made her feel happy or joyous. All her life she had known that she was different. No one must have known what she really thought or how she really felt. If they knew, she shuddered to think what they might have done. Dear Diary. On the old desk there was a large book with a red leather cover. The book opened by itself, and her words appeared in bursts of flames that illuminated the darkened room. It took me 6 weeks to even find the man responsible for Baladon's victory. I doubt he did it all himself. He must have had a small army of scientists and engineers at his disposal. But it was his brainchild, for sure. As she was speaking, Morgalla removed her heavy black boots and let them fall to the floor. She lay down upon the bed now, believing that her long day was over, and that brought a great relief. As Morgalla spoke, the words would appear in bursts of flame. He didn't have it, though. The thing I've called the Gizmo for weeks now has a name. The Vindicator. It was a grand title for a device that will save his people. Zorach wanted me to attend the conquest of Veradur today. I hope he didn't notice me missing. She stopped speaking and her eyes moved to the door. She rose up in the bed, sensing a presence, approaching down the hallway. Few had the gall to come down here, and even fewer knew that someone lived here. Perhaps the person was lost, but odds were that it was one of the only people who visited her on a regular basis. Delilah. Close, Morgalla ordered, and the book slammed shut, all by itself. She wiped her tear-soaked eyes, which were red and sore. Morgalla had to concentrate, thinking happy thoughts, and filling her heart with the few things in her life that made her happy. Sunshine, chocolate, puppies. That's the reading for this week. As I said, a little longer. Let's see, 7-ish minutes of reading. Okay, so let's go back and discuss the couple of things that really kind of caught me as ridiculous. First off, John really attempts to get you emotionally attached to this character, and that's what I want to spend. That's what I want to spend the most time on. So, I'll do the little kind of piddly comments first, again, and then I'll go back and do the largest concern I have with this section. So, again, I'll do direct quotes from the book. Apparently, Zorach's castle, which is where she was headed initially, is called the Mountain of Pain. You can't get any more ununique than that. I mean, maybe the demons have no sense of naming, but there's no indication if that's the case or not. So, the place where Morgalla lives is called the Mountain of Pain. This book is dumb. Let's see. The second or third paragraph. A small group of demons lurked in the shadows and watched as Morgalla passed by. They hungered for the pleasure, only the kind a female could provide. There's attempted rape, essentially right here, and and Morgalla treats it as if it's like a common occurrence, attempted rape. So that says something about hell. Attempted rape is common. I'm incredibly... It's lame. And Allie actually put up a picture of where she put note cards in the places where rape is implied, attempted, or mentioned, I think, or talked about. And her version of this book, she has the hard copy, actually is essentially filled with note cards. It's hilarious. It's on the Morgalla Sucks Facebook page. Link in the description. Let's see. We don't know where she got this knife. She lost her knife in the last reading. I think she left it in the puddle of black that demons melt into. So she pulled a magic knife out of somewhere. Again, nondescript. She could barely see them. Their yellow eyes gave off a slight glow from the lighting. The creatures looked on wearily, but did not advance, unwilling to make another attempt at her. Wearily is incorrectly used here. It should be warily, W-A-R-Y, or W-A-R-I-L-Y, rather than W-E-A-R-I-L-Y. So, editing. Again, John's one true weakness, editing. She sheathed her blade, turned, and walked away. That's the end of that paragraph. Of course, if these demons were serious, that's when they would have jumped her. The magical locks on the door to her closet smacks of Harry Potter. John calls this Morgalla's closet, which is not a good description for it. Now, if they would have called it her apartment or her flat or something, it would have made a lot more sense. Because this is not a closet. This is a single room apartment with a shower, a bed, a dresser, essentially everything she needs to live. The reason J.K. Rowling had Harry Potter in a closet at the beginning of the first book was to kind of just describe the discrepancy between Dudley Dursley and Harry. Where Dudley gets his own room and all these niceties, Harry Potter has to sleep under the stairs. The comparison just doesn't work here, in my opinion. And as I mentioned, John tries to get us emotionally attached to the character. The egregious use of italics here is kind of silly. But then you start to get a really good description of Morgalla herself. Here we go. You get some more of John's patented pseudo descriptions. The words attractive or sexy had never entered her mind, not in demon standards anyway. At least he gives us what standard he's talking about. We don't know what attractive is in demon standards. That's never given. All the males she knew were merely lusted for her, nothing more. Humans, on the other hand, sometimes do the same. We're going to see more of that. What human would ever find a woman with horns attractive? I mentioned this in the first reading. Who could learn to love a beast? It's the same thing. It is literally the same exact content of this sentence. Then we start to get into a description. A short human with large ears, horns. Her body was tiny compared to many others. It's a meaningless term, but then it goes into she was quite short and not very muscular by demon standards. Again, kind of a crappy pseudo description. Her face was usually like stone, showed no emotion to the outside world. Okay. But later on in that section, her body was strong and her skills were sharp, but deep inside she felt like a little girl. And then the very next sentence, she was young but felt much older, worn beyond her years. Excuse me. Direct contradiction. You can either feel like a little girl or you can feel older. John's writing, everybody. So much was missing from her life. There was nothing that made her feel happy or joyous. And then the very last sentence of this section, she gives examples of things that make her feel happy or joyous. Sunshine, chocolate, puppies. Which the sunshine, chocolate, puppies thing is stereotypical. Stereotypical of a female character. Oh, she likes chocolate. Oh, she likes puppies. Why don't you give her something realistic? I mean, we don't know what... obviously she has a little bit of joy in her life. But we don't know where these joyous things come from. Where would a demon in hell get chocolate? How often would she get chocolate? Where would she find puppies? Where would she be able to actually have fun with puppies if she wasn't, ordered to kick them? So, thank you, John. We have another point of redundancy. The book opened by itself. This is her diary. The book opened by itself, and her words appeared in bursts of flame that illuminated the darkened room. 3 paragraphs later, the words would appear in bursts of flame. It's redundant. Another weak bit of writing. Zorach wanted me to attend the conquest of Veridur today. I hope he didn't notice me missing. This smacks of The Little Mermaid, like Disney's The Little Mermaid. Replace Zorach with King Triton and Morgalla with Ariel. Oh, I hope Daddy didn't notice that I was missing the concert. So, take it as it may. Let's see. A bit of a plot hole here as well. It's with Morgalla's writing. This is after she says, "Dear Diary, it took me 6 weeks to even find the man responsible for Baladon's victory. If this Vindicator would locked Baladon off from the rest of the universe, there would be no reason for the Baladonians to make this thing public until, they activated it, and it gave them their victory. And if that's the case, Morgalla would have no ability to go talk to the guy who actually made it possible. So either Morgalla had went and talked to the guy, found the guy, got his information like just before they activated the device, just before they had achieved victory, or it took me 6 weeks to find the man responsible for the victory, and I got there some other way than the standard method of transportation used by the demons. We'll get to what that is. And then that allowed me to get on the planet without having to worry. So again, just it's a massive plot hole. Excuse me. We'll meet one of the other female characters in Morgalla's, or in this book here, next reading. She's a piece of work. And we'll find out why that is next time. Her name is Delilah. Let's see. Okay, so I think that's it for the piddly, like the minor stuff. Now, I'd like to go back and talk a little bit about John's attempt at getting you emotionally attached to this character of Morgalla. When you have a character who is blatantly opposed to something, you generally make it to where they're fighting with what is essentially their nature, this desire to, say, not kill, in a story where they are essentially forced to kill. You're seeing that a lot with Morgalla. But assuming that she is 21, assuming that she's been living here all her life, the character development doesn't make sense. And I'll spoil something here. Morgalla is a pacifist. You'll get this in a couple of readings. But it doesn't make sense for her to be a pacifist in the setting of hell, where she has to kill constantly. I'm going to use an example of the Westboro Baptist Church. I know it's a terrible example, because these people are terrible. But when someone is raised in essentially a situation where there is no recourse, where only one ideology is presented and reinforced, you have no choice but to take on that ideology. I mean, you have children in the Westboro Baptist Church who are literally spouting the same crap their parents, excuse me, spouting the same crap that their parents have been spouting, simply because they don't know anything else. They have no other choice. But Morgalla is presented as kind of the special, unique snowflake, where she didn't take on, for some god-awful reason, she didn't take on this the concepts of hell, the love of killing, the desire to kill and maim and steal and destroy, completely inexplicably. We have no idea why why being immersed in this culture didn't stick with her. And I mean, you can make arguments about it, but every single variable that you might adjust in her character doesn't necessarily pertain to her resisting certain cultural stimuli. Like, for instance, you keep what you kill. I'm going to use the Riddick example because it seems to be applicable here. Specifically when she kills the demons. If Morgalla was really that against killing, she wouldn't have killed the demon at the beginning. She wouldn't have killed, just shanked that minion. And this is why I think John really has a weakness. It's really weak of John to try to get you emotionally attached to her by making her sad that she's killing these demons. I mean, since the start of the book, this is a chapter and a little bit, you've already seen her kill at least a half a dozen demons. Maybe 5 to 6 demons. And this character is portrayed as a swordsman that understands how to use a sword, but you never actually see her trying to use any of that prowess to maintain this character, quote unquote, flaw, this characteristic of not wanting to kill. She kills indiscriminately, and then gets all choked up about it after the fact. And you see this here. Let's see. As soon as the 7th lock was secure, the tears came. She took no pleasure in the deaths of others, even if they meant her great harm. If she's so emotionally fragile over killing, over something that that she does on a daily basis, actually says it in this book that she has to use her weapons on a daily basis, it doesn't make sense to have this character abhor killing when she does it all the time. I'm going to use an example, the link, and it's going to be popping up in the annotation. It's about a 3-minute video, 4-minute video. Go watch this video. And if you haven't seen this series of anime, it is a phenomenal series because of the character of Vash the Stampede being so locked into a very personal bit of exploration where he's much the same way. Where he's in a position where he is by far one of the best gunmen on the planet, but he abhors killing. But when he is forced to kill, it devastates him. I don't want to ruin the series for any of you who haven't actually seen the series, but go take a look. I'll wait just like 5 seconds, but then come back and finish the video. Also, the italics where it shows her internal dialogue. They left me no choice. Why didn't they just give it to me? I'm sure we could have worked something out. This is a character bemoaning her own inability, specifically her own inaction. They left her no choice. That's not true. I've made that case. There is no reason why the character of Morgalla couldn't essentially act like Vash the Stampede. Kill her, bludgeon her targets, knock them out, but not kill them. Or if she was driven to kill, but then it would make the case that if she was driven to kill, she would be really emotionally damaged by it. So, Just kind of as a recap, I was a bit of a ramble there. The character of Morgalla is portrayed as a character who abhors violence. The character of Morgalla has to partake in violence every day. That violence leads Morgalla to break down emotionally. If this happens every day, as it is portrayed in the book, this character is an emotional train wreck. Cracking over something so simple, cracking over something that happens every single day, or almost every day, means this character is emotionally unstable. And thinking about it, I think that actually makes sense. To have Morgalla incredibly emotionally unstable. Because when we meet Jasper, and we're getting there, we've got a couple more readings until we finally meet douchebag numero uno. When she finally meets Jasper, she's so emotionally fragile that she just gloms onto him. And essentially turns into a whiteboard for Jasper to do whatever he wants. Tell her whatever he wants. Fill her with his own prejudices. So... Okay, well, this took a little bit of a darker turn. But that's it. I just wanted to point out just how flawed the character of Morgalla is, and how this attempt at emotional attachment is flawed at its basest level. Other than that, I will get on to the next section next week, and we will meet Delilah. So I hope you folks enjoyed. If any of you have a Tumblr page or a Facebook page, or you want to post this on Google or share it on Google, feel free. The more people that see this, the better. The more people that see just how crap John's writing is, the better. Post this wherever. Feel free to share it, like it, subscribe, comment, etc. But until next time, folks, na zdrano, na zdravie. Peace.